Good evening, good sir. How are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. The lane train is here. And I understand. You hire him yesterday, it's all positive vibes. And guess what today is, Blake? Guess what
all
today?
Negative vibes.
All negative vibes. Why? I understand that everybody's reading the same updates and they've listened to your show. Look, we got the man. All right. We got the head coach that we wanted. All right. This is the best possible spot we could be in right now outside of what could happen tomorrow. So I understand there's a lot of people shivering their timbers after what could potentially happen tomorrow. But Blake, we got the number one guy on our board. Like, could you have imagined that? And guess what? A month ago, you got to keep a grand scale picture of all of this. We didn't think that this was going to happen. What were we saying, Blake? We were all saying, hey, we're not going to get our guy. We're destroying our relationships with Jimmy Sexton. There's no way we're going to get Lane Kiffin. And boy, did we get him. We got him, Mr. Ruffino. So just like what we're dealing with today, guess what? This will pass over. We'll get the signatures that we need. And if a few guys decide to delay their decision, sure. Now, of course, Lamar Brown is the best player in this recruiting class. I truly do believe that. I would love to have him here. And it was a big point of emphasis to have him there. The first day Lane was actually there. So we'll see how all of this plays out. You've shared some pretty interesting information tonight on your show, and let's chat about it. Let's dig in.
All right, well, let's talk about it. So it is now officially being reported that Richard Anderson and Lamar Brown are postponing their signings until I'm assuming February.
Yes.
Until Lane gets his staff in here. How do you go from locking down your commitment and then within 12 hours saying that you want to keep your options open?
There was some motion.
Okay.
There had to have been something. It's just that even if you don't believe it, there was something. All right.
And it ain't other schools.
Yeah, that's what's kind of strange about that. So, obviously with all
hold on, let me pause you right quick.
Go ahead.
If this were other schools, like say, hey, Richard Anderson's really leaning Texas. You fired a coach, they come in the 10th or the 11th hour and they're trying to flip him. That would be the conversation right now. And they very well could do that. That's not what's happening here. Now, they could come in after the fact, now that there's a little bit of turmoil going on between two, an old staff and a new staff, and oil and vinegar start mixing. That 1,000% can happen. But that's not what's happening. Oil and vinegar are mixing between Lane Kiffin's staff that he brought with him from Ole Miss to the old staff that's still there, that is staying there until a bowl game's over with. So I understand that the young men, and it's their right, and they should do this, to wait till you know who your position coach is. I understand they're 17 and 18 years old. Well, then when you went up there to see Lane Kiffin, what was said then? He's not going to know within 24 hours who his defensive line coach is going to be.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
And what I think is going to happen, Blake, is with the way things are going now, you really do need to take a look at this calendar and ask yourself if this is helping high school coaches, if this is helping high school players, if this is helping transfer portal kids. It's not. It's the dumbest shit we have ever seen. And this is where I'm going to defend Lane to the high heavens. There's going to be plenty of times I'm going to be critical of Lane Kiffin. But the truth is, this college football calendar sucks. And now, if you don't want to feel sympathy for Lane Kiffin, I know a lot of the national media gets tired of, and they keep making the same talking point over and over and over again. Well, Lane shouldn't play victim. Well, now the true victims here are these kids. They have been committed to LSU forever. They don't know who their position coach is going to be. Lane doesn't know who's going to do what. He's dealing with this Charlie Weiss situation as well. So There's just too many moving parts, and it's time for the college football calendar to change. Now, how's it going to change? Is it possible that it could change? The answer to that is probably not until we have some different type of change in college football. The NCAA is not going to do it. So it sucks. I understand that there's going to be a lot of angry keyboard warriors on message boards, on your message board, in my Discord. That's going to be like, well, if these kids were committed so long, why don't they just commit to the brand? Well, it's a lot to sympathize with them. There's a lot that's changed, even from when Lane announced that he's coming here to where we are now.
The only thing that I'll say about the calendar right now, signing day needs to go back to February. You need to go to the NFL model of free agency, and the draft doesn't happen until after the season.
Yes.
You should make a rule with all Power 4 conferences that a coach does not move or get hired from another school until the end of the year.
Agreed.
Okay?
Yes.
You need to put the portal window in the spring. They listen to coaches who don't want their spring to be filled with recruiting. So when they listen to coaches who want summers off and dead periods, when they're making millions and millions of dollars, it's not what's best for the sport. You got to move it back. Now, what people don't know is this. When a kid early enrolls, they already have to sign an exemption to be able to early enroll. You're already given an exemption to early enroll. If kids want to do that, let them. But if you're not early enrolling, you cannot sign until February. They have to do that now. It is listen, I say this, and they were like, oh, well, Blake won't listen to options. That's not what I'm saying. It is the only option.
I agree. And
it is the only option. And so that's what I got to say about the schedule.
Yeah, and also spring football is just irrelevant. I just think it's nothing.
I don't. Let me tell you why it's not.
No, let's go.
Kirby Smart said this past spring that his offensive line took the biggest jump in spring, while I thought that LSU's took a step back. Offensive linemen need reps. Defensive linemen need reps. I don't think I can't go there. Spring is a big deal.
Okay. Yeah, sure. For the practices.
Yes.
But I would say for true freshmen, it's just not as important. I'm serious. Like I don't think that there's any correlation of any college football player's career truly drastically changing because they're early enrolled. A lot of them will cite it, but I don't think it has as big of an impact as people think it does.
I do think that Derek Stingley and DJ Pickett would disagree.
Cool. And then you have guys like Emory Jones and Mason Taylor that, showed up day one and we're great. So
that's fair.
So I
also didn't play early.
Mason played every snap.
Mason did, but Emory Jones did not. He took 4 games to get to him?
Yeah, it was game 3, I think, Mississippi State. But whatever the case may be, if you want to fix this sport, bring back February signing day. And guess what else comes back? Potentially the Bayou Bash, the greatest recruiting party of all time back in the day in Baton Rouge. But, Blake, this calendar sucks. And I will go back to defending Lane Kiffin. And I will not only defend Lane Kiffin, I'll defend every other coach, John Summerall, who had to make this choice, whoever had to make this choice, Eric Morris at Oklahoma State. This is the only sport, the only one that we have in human existence where coaches have to make these decisions in season. There are hundreds of thousands of sports and leagues and levels where the only sport where this exists is college football. We've got to fix this shit. It is stupid. And I also feel for the teams that, I don't feel too badly for us because we're not playing for anything of significance. I feel bad for coaches that actually are playing in playoffs, SEC championship games, conference championship games this weekend. And guess what they got to worry about tomorrow? I know a lot of their guys are signed and their coaches aren't.
They got to worry about coaching this team while making sure Florida or LSU or wherever's.
Yes. Right. Think about that. And that sucks for the analysts. It sucks for the staffers. And it is a little bit easier because their staff is more than likely going to stay put for the next year. But it's nuts to me. Penn State is going through a lot right now. They're going to get absolutely shellacked tomorrow. Holy moly! And then obviously Kentucky. They're making this radical decision to go with Will Stein, firing Stoops this late into the period. So it's not just LSU that's having to deal with this. It's a lot of different teams. But to your point, though, about LSU and what has changed in the past 12 hours and what could happen tomorrow, okay? I understand that this first recruiting class is big, right? You take a look at the immediate success Brian Kelly had in 2022. And a big part of that was because LSU was able to retain the higher level recruits in that class. They were able to have Will Campbell, Harold Perkins, obviously Emory Jones, and of course Mason Taylor was in that class, and DeMario Tolan, who played a role in that first season. Those guys immediately helped you. So this first signing class is very important. I don't want to downplay that all this stuff that's happened today happened, and it's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal. But to me, getting Lane Kiffin in Baton Rouge and what we heard on Monday and what the future of this program will actually be is what pumps me up, and it should pump you up as well.
I do. And listen, there's been some petty stuff between the old staff and the new that should not have been happening. You can't hold things hostage because you don't know if your future at LSU is at stake. With all due respect, your offense sucked, and you didn't go after Isaiah Satania, whose parents ran track at LSU. You didn't go after Trey Harris, who was the Louisiana guy who wanted to be here. And that part I'm not guessing. This iPhone right here, shit, that he didn't want to be here. Shit, that he didn't want to be here.
His parents confirmed that too.
Yeah,
publicly. Yeah.
Okay. Wanted to be here, and you missed. You missed. So if you're Lane Kiffin coming in here and say, hey, man, your offense sucked, but now you want me to retain you because of commits when I haven't even been able to put a defensive staff together.
Right.
Here's another thing. Why is the running backs coach having to recruit the number one player in the state and the number one player in the country?
It is a little bizarre.
It happens nowhere else. Go ask Nick Saban how that happened.
Right. It's different. Yeah.
It is different. I understand the connection side of this. I get all that. I appreciate Frank for all that he's done. But this all in vinegar thing that's happening right now is not going over well. Okay? I don't know what the future holds for Lane Kiffin on the defensive staff. But I know that he hired DJ Durkin before anybody did. How good has he been?
He's the best defensive coordinator in the SEC.
Okay.
This year, he's been the best by far.
He brought in Pete Golding. How good's he been in his SEC tenure?
It's been pretty good. And it's not only that he brought him in, he took him from Nick as well.
Okay. Last but not least, he's trying to keep Blake Baker. You went from 108th in the country in scoring defense to 15th. I think the man knows what he's doing. Now, does Randall Joyner follow him? All of this stuff, I don't know. Does Ed Orgeron get rehired? I don't know. But you can't mix oil and vinegar and think that, hey, man, we are LSU people. I'm a fan of LSU. I'm not a fan of a coach. Coaches are going to come and go. LSU will remain forever. So I'm not going to have loyalty to anybody in playing these petty games when, quite honestly, only thing I care about is LSU. And you can't going out there saying that the only thing that you care about is LSU, and because you don't know if you're getting retained, you're getting paid by the school.
Yeah. I mean, it's your job to get the signatures. Yeah.
It's your job to get the signatures. Only thing I would say here before we kind of move on to Lane Kiffin, if you want to tell me that that's not, I had a lot of people, we're running with rumors. I'm not running with rumors. So I will just end it with this. Lane Kiffin has got to sell his vision. The only way right now that he can do it is sell his vision, which I think has happened, by the way. I think those kids would be looking elsewhere if he hadn't sold the vision. Secondly, he's got to go out there after selling that vision, and he's going to have to knock this shit out of the park defensively. He's going to have to. So can he do that will be the question, because I don't think Frank's going to be retained here.
Yeah, I don't know. You've obviously been all over this today. I've not.
If he was going to be retained, he'd be over with.
Yeah, you're right.
It'd be over with.
So I just don't know enough as you do, obviously, regarding this. It's okay for you to as well like what Frank Wilson has done here, and also understand that LSU is bigger than Frank Wilson. You know, I don't believe, Blake, if we actually line everything up, I don't think we ever won a national championship with Frank Wilson here. That doesn't mean he's not been great. I mean, I just don't know as much about that as you do, but I will say you're right. LSU is bigger than anyone, Coach. LSU is bigger than Lane Kiffin, and that's part of why.
Yeah, it's bigger than anybody. It's bigger than me and you.
Yeah,
it's bigger than everybody combined, brother.
Yeah, it's bigger than PHL, bigger than AYS, and look,
and
that's and this is also a thing for Lane, right? Ole Miss was your program, right? You made it what it is today, in the same way that Dabo Swinney is basically Clemson. So Lane understood when he signed up to come to LSU, he needs that brand to get him over the top to win a national championship. So that's why Lane, if he really wants to be here, he's going to do some really massive things. So I hope the best that all of this gets smoothed over, but we'll see.
We will see. Let's move into Lane Kiffin. Let's get to the positive side of this thing. Holy shit, we pulled it off.
It happened.
I can't believe it. And listen, sitting at the press conference yesterday, which everybody made fun of my bald spot, by the way. I can't believe everybody was making fun of my bald spot.
I did not. I texted you like the good friend that I was. And
yeah,
I just wanted
to have great service in there.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I got everybody's text in a flurry. But everybody was making
but I texted you to let you know you're on camera in front of 25,000 people watching the press conference.
And they all saw my bald spot.
That's okay. I mean,
okay.
I had gray hair when I was 21. So, and by the way, I'm going to be a lot less lighter when we do the you know what thing. I'm a man of my word.
Oh, okay. Hold on. We're getting in that later.
I'm a man of my human word.
Okay, we're getting that in just a minute. Don't let me forget about that. But dude, I can't believe LSU targeted one guy and they went after him and they got Lane Kiffin. One guy, they didn't move. And I thought the two biggest things that Lane Kiffin said in his press conference yesterday was, I'm sure you spoke to Florida and I'm sure you spoke to other teams. What did Verge tell you that sold you? I'm going to let you coach, get out of the way, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to ask you what you want, and we're going to go from there. You know who said that last week too, by the way? Was Jay Johnson in a press conference. Has he been good at all?
It's been okay.
It's been okay. I mean, brother, they aligned quickly and they went and got their number one guy and they landed.
I mean, you know, I'm on the Lane train. He was my number 2 guy. He was my number 1 guy for a long time in the 2021 search, and he moved to 1B, and he was my clear-cut number 1 guy, and he's only become a better coach since then. You give LSU a lot of credit. And look, you and I were both very critical of this man. I give Governor Landry a lot of credit for doing what he did in the search, and he deserves credit.
There's going to be some things that come out about what Governor Landry did, and it's going to be massive, like big time donors coming up to the plate because he asked. Yeah,
and this actually went down for me on Saturday. One of those people who know Governor Landry called me, and when the Talty report came out, I was like, I wasn't really shocked that finally a national reporter said what he said about Governor Landry. Now, I appreciate him doing that. And I thought it was important that he did that. I think a lot of people, and myself included at first, when the first week of the chaos began, we were saying, hey, we don't want Governor Landry anywhere near this search. But I changed my opinion on that quickly. Lane kept saying, hey, a big reason why I want to come to LSU is that everybody loves LSU. It's all one big thing. It's not a split state. Well, I would want the state's governor to also be aligned with me as well. So I'm glad Governor Landry was able to do that. And I've heard the same thing as far as those donors are concerned. And obviously, Verge Osbury, great job. I thought the contract language being attached to Verge was also interesting as well. And Verge did a great job of getting this done. Verge's relationship.
I mean, you do know what that means. People didn't grasp that. People didn't understand. Like, hey, man, Verge is the one that sold me. And he says if he does what he does, you ain't moving off of him.
Yeah. He's putting the chips in the middle, baby.
Yeah.
I like it.
So let's stay on Verge. I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
Verge has a really, really good connection with Nick Saban. And Nick came out with a statement today and it's like, hey, Lane's one of the best offensive minds in the country. I think he's going to do wonders. And then he runs out there on College Game Day and says what he says. But then Lane comes out there yesterday and says, hey, I can't really say this because, Coach was at Alabama.
Yeah.
But he told me to come here. Do you know how massive of a statement that is? That the best coach of all time, who 6 months ago was in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, said that his biggest coaching regret was leaving LSU. And then he tells your next head coach, who's been a mentor to him, LSU is probably the best job in the country when run right. How massive of a statement is that?
Oh, it's huge. And like a thing that Lane said yesterday, time heals all wounds, right? You couldn't imagine LSU fans many moons ago when Saban was pulverizing us year after year that we would come around on how Nick played a huge role in getting Lane here. And it's important. And if you're an Ole Miss fan watching this, I would be careful with how reckless you have talked about Lane. Who's to say Lane's not going to do something for you down the road and recommending a potential coach to pick you, right?
Like Charlie, what if Pete Golding has success?
Exactly. I mean, it's a strange thing how overboard. And look, I understand Ole Miss fans are emotional. I'm not mad at them for being mad. It's just, there's been a lot thrown my way and thrown a lot of LSU fans' ways. But man, I give Nick all the credit in the world. Also give Pete Carroll a lot of credit. Nick has an obvious tie to the school, but for Pete to say what he said to Lane was absolutely massive. So shout out to you, Coach Carroll.
I equated it like this, Carter. When I took AYS full time, obviously outside of my wife, there were two people's opinions that I wanted the most, or three people's opinions, but I talked to my parents and I talked to my brother, who I think is a mentor to me. You don't understand, if you haven't been in that position, how those words affect you, good, bad, or indifferent. And I think that Pete Carroll telling him, to your point, hey, man, your dad would tell you to go for it. Your dad would tell you this is one of the best jobs in the country, and you better go for it or you're going to really kick yourself. And I hate it for him that he couldn't coach the playoffs and all this stuff is coming out, whatever. But I think it's a big statement. Let me ask you this. I haven't gotten to this yet because we had so much recruiting stuff that we had to get to.
Let's go.
Carter, after not allowing Lane Kiffin to coach in the playoffs after accepting a job at LSU, can someone please explain to me why they're allowing Charlie Weiss Jr. to do it? Do you understand the hypocritical nature of what Ole Miss fans have been saying along with Keith Carter? All these LSU fans and media who have been trying to justify the situation of, hey, man, you're mismanaging this situation. You can allow him to coach, but now you got a rival OC who's signed. Y'all said Ole Miss people are saying he didn't sign. Charlie Weiss Jr. signed a contract to be your offensive coordinator, but you won't let Lane do it, but you're going to let Charlie Weiss Jr. do it. And then I saw people in the national media saying there's only one adult in the room, and that's Charlie Weiss Jr.
Oh, spare me that bullshit.
He did the same thing that Lane wanted to do. Here's been my mindset the whole time. Ole Miss has never been in a situation like this before, so they don't know how to react. It's a lot like us in 2004. When Nick Saban left, and this was the first time that we had success, we didn't know how to act. Because we've actually won now, and we actually know how to act, and we've actually been there before, we've actually seen a pair of titties, and we're not in our mama's basements, we know how to act. They don't know what is coming for them. And that is the craziest thing to me, that this whole Charlie Weiss Jr. thing has gone down.
Yeah, it's I have never been more outraged by another program's hypocrisy than Ole Miss. Oh my God. GTHOM. And for Ole Miss fans watching this, I might have to actually tell you what that stands for. But the problem is,
they would be offended if they could read.
Yeah, look, your hubris. I might need to explain what hubris is. It's your arrogance. I want to break that down for Ole Miss fans. You are so dumb. You are so dumb. You were not relevant before the train came to Oxford. Outside of Eli Manning and Patrick Willis and Marshall Henderson and a few other athletes, Deuce McAllister, thank you so much for doing what you did for the Saints. But outside of those four, you are nothing. And what did Lane do? He won 10 games, 4 separate times over a 5 at Ole Miss. Ole Miss. And he did it here and he did it at Ole Miss. And you don't want him to coach in the play. This is finally a year you can do this thing called, what is it? Win a national championship. And you don't want to let him coach. Here's the thing that Ole Miss fans do not understand. People only remember national championships. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. Okay. I don't. You don't, because you know how complex and how hard it is to actually win a national championship. But this was a year you actually could do it, and you're not letting this guy finish what he started. The guy that made you relevant, the only reason you're here is because of the Lane train, and you decide to do something like this, all right? If you had true gall, if you had some true coconuts down here, if you really had it in your soul, you would not let Charlie come back either. You wouldn't let him roll back into Oxford. But you're doing it because you want to know what Ole Miss says, like, oh, we don't have this thing called an offense. We need to have somebody back here. It is
and Lane Kiffin's not a big offensive mind.
He's not. No, he doesn't know anything.
Hey, you know what I thought about? It's just
going to be fine.
You know what I did think about?
What?
You know what's really interesting to me? We're about to see how big Lane Kiffin is in his own team.
Yeah.
This is very interesting. This Ole Miss game is very interesting. Carter, if they suck on offense, regardless of the opponent,
not going to look good. Not going to look good.
I
am telling you right now, Blake, they are going to regret this. They are going to regret this. And look, here's the funny thing about it. LSU, wanted Lane to be able to finish what he started because
Verge literally begged him. Did you see Verge's comments? I was standing right there. I said, I walked up and I said, did you want him to coach the playoffs? And the media started scrumming together. He goes, hell yeah. He goes, bro, it's branding for us. Yes.
And here we are. And Ole Miss fans didn't want this to happen. It makes no sense. And I understand the people that say, well, Keith Carter's got to live in Oxford and all the fans are mad that he's going to a rival and all of this. The simple question is this, for any Ole Miss fan that pushes against Blake and I, because we're two of the few that actually had this opinion, because there's some in LSU media that say you shouldn't have been allowed to finish, whatever. Just ask this question to yourself, Ole Miss fans. Would you have traded everything that has happened in the last 72 hours for what you got to have over the last 6 years? And the answer to that, they're never doing that. You unequivocally take what has happened in the last 6 years, no matter what, okay? Even if he's leaving you, I would have let him coach the playoff. I really do feel if I was an Ole Miss fan, thank God I'm not. If I was, my name would be Fletcher, and I would have some Oakleys and Sperry's on right now. But Fletcher, Tucker, Bladen, whatever your name is watching this right now, you're going to regret how mad you are. How mad you are right now.
Fletcher.
Yeah, Fletch.
Do you think he pushes his hair over like this?
Yeah. He just pledged Kappa Sig, man. I feel really, really, really bad that you guys are going to regret this decision, because this is your one chance. This is your one chance to do the thing that you never thought that you had Eli freaking Manning and you couldn't really get this done. So,
well, I saw one of their media members talking about hypothetical championships. It was Ben Garrett, the guy who called Lane a hoe.
yeah.
And first off, let's get something completely understood. You don't back down. You called the man a hoe. You don't back down.
He did. Did he back down? I don't think
he 1000% backed down. And then when he got in the, you didn't want to talk to him face to face. Go back at him. All right. Well, you're a hoe.
Oh, you're saying like in front of on the field.
Go behind the media and then yell at him and say, I wasn't calling you a hoe. But he came out and said that LSU can win hypothetical championships. Carter, they have a SEC West Division champ banner in their stadium.
It's still the wildest thing. And whoever the LSU social admin that included that photo, even though we did lose, kudos to you. That was a great shot. All
right.
But yeah.
I know it's getting kind of late. I've kept you late. I don't like keeping you past 8:30.
No, that's fine. You had a busy ass show. Go on ahead.
Yeah, I got a lot of super chats we got to read here. So listen.
Yeah, go on ahead.
We got a long time to talk about Lane Kiffin and everything that's going on. Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry I pushed you back so late, but this is going to be fun.
You should be excited. And here would be my message to what a lot of fans are concerned about, Blake. And you and I have discussed this privately. We discuss a lot of things privately that never see the light of day. Okay. Everybody is scared about Lane potentially leaving. And I get that. I totally understand that. All right. But who gives a shit? Like literally, who live in the present? Mm-hmm. What are we trying to do to try and guess what's going to come next in college football? This idea that some magical Kirby Smart that's going to stay at Georgia forever is going to just magically come into this program.
And he's going to stay there forever.
He might, yeah. I mean, Lane might be here 10 years. He might be here 2 or 3 years. I think he's going to be here for a while. I do. And I think he's going to win big. I really do think he's that great of a coach. What I would say, though, is just live in the present, because you worrying about the future and what's going to happen next is exactly why Ole Miss had this irrational decision to not let this man coach the playoff. They're worried about what's next instead of enjoying with what is now. All right. I understand. You should not get too excited about any introductory press conference. In the grand scheme of things, it means nothing. But did you not get chills down your spine when he said the coach thing? Just enjoy this for now. Enjoy the fact that this could be a lot worse if where we were a month ago to where we are now. We're very lucky that we landed on the guy, that our chips were pushed to the middle. Okay. There was this idea that was floating around. We'll never know how truthful it was. The most hated candidate in the history of candidates was Eli Drinkowitz this cycle. Mm-hmm. All right. What if that would have happened? Imagine how you would feel right now. You'd feel a lot different. Okay. So even with what could happen in the next 24 hours with the early signing period, you got your guy. The head coach is what truly moves the needle in college football. And maybe just as important as what's going to happen with all these signatures, it's going to be sorting out who your quarterback is going to be next year. Mm-hmm. Or, Blake, if you want to get really spicy right now, who your quarterback.
Yeah, you need more than one.
Will be next year.
Can you flip somebody at the 11th hour tomorrow? It's going to be really interesting. Just, the Duckworth kid, does he listen to you? Does he not? I guess, look, we'll see. All right. Carter the Power Bryant. Love you, buddy.
Cheers.